We're back now with a look at how the coronavirus has devastated small businesses and their employees. You've probably heard times are tough, but you may not realize just how tough they are for small businesses. Researchers at Harvard University, in fact, Harvard Business School, estimate that 1 out of every 7 small businesses, as a result of the virus, have closed permanently. Think about that. Earlier this year, we spoke to employees who were laid off from a small business in Elmsford, New York, and the owner, who was trying to hold things together there any way he could. Recently, we went back to them to see if anything has changed.
It was pretty gut-wrenching, to be honest.
When we met Joe Gilderson back in March, he just laid off most of his 20 workers at Corporate AV. For a company that handles lighting and sound at large events, he predicted a struggle to make it through the shutdown.
If we don't have work by the fall, then I don't know if we're around at that point.
Now with the fall just 5 weeks away, Gilderson says he's still hanging on.
All right, it's no longer a race. This is going to be a marathon.
He says Corporate AV survived in part because of funding from the federal government's Paycheck Protection Program.
We kicked the can down the road, so to speak.
The federal money bailed you out, kept you afloat.
It's absolutely one of the things to keep us afloat. The other was trying to come up with another way to do things.
The company shifted to hosting online events, which bring in less money and require fewer people. That leaves former employee Mo Johnson in much of the same place we found him months ago.
Do whatever you can to save the company, save the ship. When we get back on the ship, we can go again.
What have you been up to since we last talked to you?
Sitting on the couch, cooking a lot, and doing odd kind of jobs.
Those jobs include webcasting a high school graduation as a freelancer for Corporate AV, not an employee.
What's it been like for you psychologically to go 4 months without being able to say, I have a job, this is my job?
It's weird. My wife and I actually had a spat today. She said, you should go to the dentist. And I'm like, we don't have insurance. And that's weird. I don't care. You should still go. It's only $150. And I'm like, before it was not a discussion. Now it's like, wow, the things we have to put off.
More than 5 million laid-off workers lost their health insurance during the pandemic, and nearly 4 out of every 10 Americans say they face a major threat to their personal finances. Gabe Annell is among them.
Yeah, I don't see the live events industry coming back anytime soon.
As he waits for things to pick up again,
today's mixtape is called Dreamin' and Believin'.
He's now hosting a heavy metal podcast every morning from his kitchen.
I guess it keeps my sanity,
5 months ago, when he lost his job at Corporate AV, Annell and his wife Claudia told us they didn't quite know how they would move forward.
So April 1st, are you going to make a mortgage payment or not?
Good question. We haven't even talked about that.
You're just constantly worried about, can I make this payment? Can I put my kid, can I get a doctor?
Even before?
Even before.
Since then, Claudia lost her mother to COVID-19. But even as the family deals with that loss, they've been able to control the financial pain so far. Claudia wasn't home when we stopped by because she was able to return to her work as a property manager after quarantining at home. And Gabe told us the federal government's weekly $600 unemployment benefit helped pay the bills. That benefit, of course, has since expired.
There's nerves, there's stress, there's a constant anxiety, and I know my wife's feeling the anxiety too, because we know at the end of this month, we really don't know what we're going to do. We're literally back to where the last time you guys were here.
Wow.
We don't know what we're going to do at the end of this month.
Wow.
There's been laughter, he tells us, along with the tears. And he says he is hopeful that things will turn around eventually.
If the work comes back, we come back. And look, if I can't go back there because there's no work, I can't go anywhere to look for work in what I do.
So what kind of timetable do you have in your mind for when you might be able to add employees with benefits like you had before?
I don't really know. I mean, I was hoping in fall. It was always the plan. So I think, we're still trying to keep that ship afloat.
Yeah.
And we got a long way to go.
So Gilderson is now predicting that maybe next spring things will pick up and he'll be able to rehire his employees. Now, I want to put a spotlight on something one of his employees said. That was Mo, right in the middle of the story. He talked about putting off dental work because when he lost his job, he lost his health insurance. That is the kind of bleak choice that millions of people in this country are facing right now. Maybe it's not the doctor, it's the rent. Maybe it's not the doctor, it's the credit card. Maybe it's lunch. They got to skip it because they got to make it to dinner.
Yeah.
And so I think there's really what I could describe as toxic uncertainty right now as they wait for benefit checks.
Yeah, the domino effect of this is huge. And the uncertainty is, it affects everybody. I was talking to a band manager who said he's now planning for no concerts at all next year because he has to expect the worst and hope for the best.
I'm so glad you're telling these stories, Tony. I, too, was struck by Mo's words. This pandemic is real. This coronavirus is real. We're sick of it, but it is not done with us yet. Another reminder. Yeah. Thank you, Tony Dokoupil.